Hello everyone, and welcome to the third installment of my annual interview. This is where I go through the same set of questions at the beginning of every year and we see how things change and we can compare my answers throughout the years. And because I know this video usually gets very long, let's get straight to it with the first question being how many YouTube subscribers I have. I have 1,858 subscribers as of today. I was hoping to be on 2,000 at this point of the year, but I'm pretty close to that, so I'm happy. What is my favorite video of the year? My favorite video has to be the story time I did when I went to work with a friend where I did that dramatic eyeliner look. I was finally getting into a groove filming, I had fun telling a story, I really liked how the look turned out even though it was different. I have to say I don't feel like I released many fantastic videos this year because this year was very busy and everything was all over the place. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to do but didn't get to do and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to turn out. So this video turning out exactly how I wanted it and being such a fun video, I was very, very happy with that. What is my least favorite video of the year? I think that has to be my tiny house declutter from the declutter series. I feel like while I did actually do what I said I was going to do in the video, there was kind of like a different expectation and people clicked on it hoping for tiny house content. Instead it was me basically just cleaning out a room, and I feel like it's kind of a dud in the whole declutter series that otherwise I think was interesting to an extent. I'm glad I did do it, but I feel like that one just wasn't quite it. I think a runner-up video for my least favorite has to be doing my makeup in a lab part 2. Not because I didn't enjoy the video, because I enjoyed it so much. And you can see it, I'm so excited in the video, I'm having so much fun. But there's stuff that happened afterwards that I had to go back and change and take out of the video. There was a lot of work afterwards to kind of clean all that up, and that kind of just, as a result, watching the video now is just stressful, where it initially was fun. And I'm glad I got to document when I was happy and enjoying it, but now it has that extra touch of, right, things don't always go the way you think they would. How many followers do I currently have on Instagram? That one's a disappointing one. I'm on 781. My Instagram has been very stagnant. I did hit 1,000 followers at some point, which is a big milestone for me and I was very excited. But a bunch of them were people who weren't interacting with my posts. A bunch were dead accounts, a bunch were old accounts. So I went through everything and I deleted all the dead followers, which is a good thing. And I thought it would help me grow. And at the end of the day, I ended up just stagnating in 700, just short of 800. Which makes me feel a bit like I shouldn't have decluttered and I should have just stagnated at 1,000-ish so I can feel a little bit better about it. But it's okay. It's Instagram. I'm posting because I want to post it, not because I want to gain followers. And a lot of people are having issues on Instagram anyways, so I'm not going to get too upset about it. But I did turn off my like count this past year and that has made Instagram a lot better for me. My most liked post in the last year was one of my swimsuit pics, which no surprise there. I hit 83 likes on this picture. What is my favorite Instagram post of the last year? That definitely has to be one of my birthday posts. I like the pictures from when we went out for dinner and I was wearing that cute crop top. But I have to say a close second place is the werewolf look I did for Halloween. I really enjoyed the way it turned out. I think it's super cute and I really like that picture. How many TikTok followers do I have? 618 as of this morning. I did a live stream this morning while getting ready for this video and that's the number I ended up on. What is my favorite TikTok that I made this year? I wish I could say my favorite TikTok was one where I showed a compilation of all my makeup looks, but that one ended up crashing and not working out. So I'd have to say my favorite TikTok is this very basic transition that I really liked. It goes with the audio of, "Sorry, Miss Jackson, ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize a trillion times." I like it so basic, but it was lots of fun and I like how it looks. I also just figured out by looking at TikTok on my computer that you can post on TikTok from your computer. This has changed things. But moving on to the next question. What is my most liked TikTok of the last year? That has to be this old silly homeowner simulator one I made. We were pet sitting for someone and they had this really nice house. So I made a TikTok talking about how you can pretend like you're a homeowner for the weekend, and that one did relatively well. What is the biggest thing that happened to me in terms of my career this year? If we're talking about my working career, I did an internship for the first time, so I got my first in the field experience, so that was great. Oh, I also presented a seminar this year and I won an award for it. I did not see that coming. And of course I finished my honors this year. I feel like that does count. But if we're going to talk about my YouTube career, the biggest thing that has happened is I successfully finished a series, being the Declutter series. But other than that, nothing too major actually. This was a year that was very busy with my academics. Who is my favorite YouTuber right now? I have no idea. Who do I watch? I think the YouTube channel I watch the most these days would be Cut. They do a lot of interesting things. It's a lot of it's very human. You see a lot of things about other people and different opinions, and some of the videos are kind of but a lot of the time I enjoy them. I like seeing what they do. I've also been watching a lot of Epicurious. They do a bunch of like cooking challenges and cooking videos, and it's very entertaining and you get to learn a lot more about food. And then I watch a lot of Reddit. I watch a lot of EXO stories, always playing in the background. I kind of wish they posted more. And how could I forget to mention one of my favorite YouTube channels is Kurtzakhat, I think that's how you say it. They do a bunch of scientific videos explained really well with very entertaining animation, and everything they do is just phenomenal. Definitely recommend. What would I like to achieve in the coming year, YouTube related or not? I would like to get an apartment I really like, and I want to get a place that I'm going to stay for the next few years. I want to get all the lab work done for my master's. I want to finish it in the minimum time. I don't want to spend 3 years on it. I want to do the mandatory 2 years. But in terms of YouTube, in the next year, I would like to improve my vlogs a little bit. My vlogs are intentionally like easy, thrown together stuff, and they're more for myself because I want to see what I did, but I do want to up the quality a little bit without putting too much pressure on them that I end up never just vlogging, because that's how that is. So I want to improve the quality of that, and I want to just not take it more seriously, but like put a little bit more effort into it, make sure I always have the description done, the thumbnail done, and stuff like that, and not have it as last minute as it is right now. So it looks a little bit more put together, like I know what I'm doing. I think after the chaos that was this year, in the next year, I just want my YouTube channel to feel more intentional and not like I'm running to catch up. How often do I get recognized in public? Not at all. I recognize people in public more than they recognize me. What is my current favorite makeup brush? Funnily enough, it's this big fluffy face brush. I use it for a variety of things. I use it to like set my whole face, and I also use it to bronze, and the bronzing thing is relatively new to me. Usually I use it just like contour, but I found that with this you can really like work things in a lot more naturally, and I don't have to go in with like a bookie brush that much, which I just use for everything. What is my current favorite makeup product? I think it's this Julienne eyebrow pomade, and not because this is the best pomade out there, but because I have finally figured out how to use it. Didn't actually use it today, but I like the way it looks when I do use it. I like what it does to my brows, and I'm glad I've kind of like figured the product out. And it's really one of those like investment products. Honestly, anything except for eyebrow pencils, eyebrow powders, eyebrow pomades, they last forever. So if you get something that works, it's fantastic. What is the first thing I did this morning? Well, I woke up at around 4 o'clock. I have no idea why. I don't know what woke me up. I think I just wasn't comfortable. But I got up and I played with my cat a little bit, and she was very cute. She was looking out the window at all the birds up chirping in the morning. Spent a little bit of time with her, turned the aircon on. I intentionally didn't go on my phone because I didn't want to like wake up and be up entirely. I still wanted to go back to bed. So I let the room cool down a bit, got comfortable, turned the aircon off, and went back to bed. What is the first happy memory that comes to mind? That would be scaring Aiden. I thoroughly enjoy when someone gets a fright. Now, I don't give people frights often. I don't want to be that person. I don't want everyone to be like skittish when they're around me because I'm always giving them frights. But the odd occasion it does happen, my favorite thing. I love it so much. And what happened is Aiden was in the bathroom. He was like washing his hands or something like that. He was on his way out of the bathroom, and I had just come into the room and he didn't know I was in the room. So I went to stand like just outside the bathroom door and wait for him to come out. And I didn't do anything. I was just standing there in the dark in the hallway waiting for him to come out just around the corner because the door was open, you know. And when he stepped out, I went like boo, but I did it like very quietly. He didn't even hear that. He just saw me around the corner and went into fight or flight mode. And was very grumpy for a little bit afterwards, but I was thoroughly entertained. He got a proper fright. That was funny. That's good memory. What is the last thing that made me cry? Now for that, I have to remember the last time I cried. Okay, the last time I cried was like 2-3 days ago, and it's because of that little thing back there. Okay, she was being a menace because she is a menace. She's always a menace. And she was trying to eat something she was not supposed to eat, you know, and we were busy setting up here Christmas stuff because we were getting ready for everyone to come over, and she kept eating something in this room, and I kept taking her and I threw her out that way into the lounge and telling her, no, stop, get out of here, no, stop, get out of here. And I kept picking her up and then just gently tossing her into the room, and then she just lands, you know. And then she came back again, and I guess I just got used to the motion of picking up and throwing her. So when I did it again, I picked her up and I threw her, but I threw her a bit too fast, and then a little butt slid out under her and she landed smack on her back, which had to hurt so bad. And then she ran away, and I went after her to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And then she was skittish. She was all like defensive and stuff when I came up to her, and she let me touch her, but not in a I want you to touch me way, in a I'm too scared to run away way. And I felt so bad that I hurt her and that I scared her, and it genuinely wasn't intentional. It's for her own good. She shouldn't be eating the thing that she was eating, but it wasn't something I could just take away. I should have just went and put her back in the room instead of continuously chasing her out. She was just being a normal kitten, being curious, but yeah, I felt really bad. And it's not because, I don't know, I just cry easily. I know it sounds like it, but it's because I don't want to be the type of person that overreacts and hurts people because I can't like control my temper. She's just a cat, you know? I should be able to remain calm enough to take her, to lift her and put her down, not throw her and have her get hurt. The fact that I was getting irritated should be irrelevant. I shouldn't be doing that. I felt really bad at the idea that I'm potentially that person because I don't want to be that person. What was the best day of the year? The best day of the year was probably one of the first days we were in our apartment. Everything was chaotic for so long because we didn't have an apartment, and we finally got one in August, and there was finally going to be a sense of stability and we know what's going to happen for it, and it was just such a relief, and it was so much fun to have something that's like mine again, you know? So the best day of the year definitely had to be like the first night being like, whoa, are we staying in our own place? What was the worst day of the year? The worst day of the year was probably early on in the beginning of this year when I was in the lab working on my experiment, and just like a bunch of bad things happened this day. Like I was in early already, and one of the people who work in the labs had to help me use like one of the equipment, and he was rude to me in like an entirely unnecessary way, and it made me feel bad but also rubbed me in the wrong way, so I was in a bad mood from that. Then I had to go demi, and then I got yelled at by the person organizing that for something that I don't want to say is entirely my fault, but they were like kind of taking out their anger on me, and that really ticked me off because I was already having a bad day and there's nothing I could really do about it. Plus like, and then after all that, it already being a long day, already spending 3+ hours in the lab there, I then had to go into my own lab and work on my own research. And the whole time I was doing that, Aiden was staying there because obviously we like drive together and stuff, and he was constantly being like, when are we going, when are we going, when are we going, can we go home now? And I was like, well, I want to go home, but I have to finish everything. And we ended up staying in the lab until like 2:33 a.m, which unfortunately wasn't uncommon because I had a lot of stuff to do in the lab and it was a very, very long day. And because I was standing for the whole day, I was like so sore, my back was so sore. I started standing like very creatively to try and like not hurt while I was standing. And while I was doing the plating that I was doing, I kept screwing up my agar because I made the agar wrong at the beginning, and when I was using them now, I now found the problem and I ended up making the agar too soft. So every time I tried spreading it, it would wreck it, and I only had so many of them left. I think it was like the epitome of how chaotic everything got at the beginning of the year and just how much was going on, because while I was busy for literal hours that whole day, I still had other things that I hadn't gotten around to, and people from the EC were like on my case because I wasn't doing things, and my assignments were behind, and my mom was on my case about things, and it was just so much. Which for a second I almost forgot about the EC. There was a lot of EC stuff happening this year, and this term was not great. We ended on a very bad note. So those would have been a few good candidates for the worst day of the year, but I cannot overstate how insane the beginning of the year was and how tired I was. It was a lot. What do I wish I had done this year? I really wish I did a lot of stuff earlier, actually. There isn't anything specific I wish I had done other than build like a better relationship with my supervisor, but again, I did not have the time for that, and she's kind of intimidating. Like, she's actually nice when you talk to her, but going to talk to her, that's scary. But I feel like I always had such a long to-do list of things to get to, and that was stressing me out. If I could just have focused on one thing at a time, gotten it done, and moved on, that would have been nicer. But I was worried that I was going to forget about things. But as a result, I just always had the weight of like at least 20 things to do on me, and that really sucked. I also really wish that this year I relied more on the people around me, or rather asked the people around me to help me more, because I took a lot of the stuff on myself just to make sure that everything got done, because there's so many things that could go wrong. There were so many like risks involved, and I would felt better, or I thought I'd feel better making sure myself that all of that stuff got done. And as a result, that just made everything so much worse on me. Am I more confident now than I was a year ago? I suppose. I'm not going to say I wasn't confident last year, but I feel like I'm a little bit more assertive in a good way this year. Am I currently where I want to be in life? Overall, yes. I am on my way to where I want to be in life. I'm like on the right track. I am studying what I want to be studying. I am working on the things I want to be working on. Like, it makes sense that I'm not in the place I want to be. Like, I want to be in a house someday and doing this and doing that, but obviously 23, I haven't bought a house yet. That's pretty normal. So yeah, I think I'm perfectly on track and everything is how it should be. What do I have now that I didn't have a year ago? That would be my sewing machine. That was like the big purchase of this year. Very, very excited about it. I definitely have a lot of learning to do, and I think I might not realize how hard it is, but I want to. It's something I really want to learn how to do. I want to be able to like tailor my own clothes. That's the priority. But I think to be able to tailor clothes, I first need to learn how to make clothes, and I just need to like mess around on it and just first understand it, you know? What is the most important thing to me right now? That has to be making the right choices. I'm at like a point in my life where a lot of things could change, and it depends on what I'm choosing now, which way things are going to go. And it's a lot, you know, I can change the whole trajectory of my life right now. Like, am I gonna do my master's next year? Or am I going to go into the workforce? Do I want to stay in the country? Do I want to stay in this town? Like, a lot of stuff like that that can change things for years to come. And I feel like I can't ask anyone. I am supposed to decide those things. No one can help me decide. And I don't want regrets. Like, I live my life intentionally in such a way to avoid regret, because I think the idea of 20 years down the line sitting there and regretting your decisions is horrifying. I want to avoid that. And because I am aware enough to be aware of these things in advance, that this is something I could regret, I feel like since I have the opportunity of being aware, I need to make sure I do the right thing. Because if I know now I have a choice to make and I make the wrong choice and I'm regretting it in 20 years, that is so much worse than just not having been aware and then regretting it. Kind of cursed by my own awareness, you know, that's a very human thing, but the most important thing now is making the right decisions. What am I struggling with the most right now? What exactly is and isn't my responsibility? I feel like sometimes I commit to things and then I feel like I have to see them through, but I'm also the type of person to take way too much onto my plate and then suffer the consequences, and I don't want to burn out because of that. So I think what I'm struggling with most right now is making the logical decision that, yeah, it makes most sense for me to just study and not work while I'm studying, but feeling like I'm kind of obligated to work and that I could technically work and study even though that would extend my studies. I also feel like there's greater responsibility towards life as a whole. Like, everyone's aware of the concept of brain drain in South Africa, where everyone that's educated just leaves the country, and that's why the country is the way that it is. I like to think I'm becoming one of the educated people that can make a difference. But I too have the option to move abroad. Do I want to move abroad? I would love to move abroad. There's wonderful countries I'd like to see, but then I am part of the problem. Am I okay with letting the place get worse and worse and worse? But then again, can I as an individual truly fix everything? Isn't that a bit unreasonable? But then I feel like I'm just giving up because it's easier to do so. So I feel like responsibility for a lot of things, I think that's a symptom of something else, and I should just like make the logical decision. But even though I'm good at making the logical decision, I still feel like I'm failing a responsibility, and I'm struggling with dealing with that. I want to see how I answered this question last year and compare it to this year. A year from now, I want to either be in another country or I want to be actively involved in the process of moving to another country. Yeah, that was the plan at that point. But now I'm doing my master's, so. However, I'm terrified of saying that, and then in the next year the plan changes and I'm like never gonna move, and then, you know, I said a video, I'm gonna move over the ocean. Look at me knowing myself. I guess I already had doubts at this point. Like, I really was excited to move, but I knew these things never go according to plan, so I guess it's good that I was open to that. I want to have a job of some sort, and I want to have figured out the hair situation, okay? Like, that's a goal actually for the coming year. The hair's not terrible. Okay, I'm not gonna hate on that. So yeah, the plan did change from last year, which is fine. I guess things don't feel as different to me now as I probably would have thought it was back then. But where do I see myself a year from now? A year from now, I see myself midway in my master's, probably still very involved with the university, not in a committee, okay? I want to be done with committees. I did Nat House EC for 2 years. I'm doing Stuco now, and I think I should stop after this. I probably won't, but I think I should. I think a year from now, I'll know a bit more about where I want to go with my channel and stuff, seeing if I've grown or not. And in a year from now, I think I'm either gonna be single or engaged, and not in a the man better propose right now type of way, but more of a, I feel like that's the current trajectory, which I'll talk more about in a bit. And I'd also like to see myself just like presented a little bit better. I've been basically living out of a suitcase this year. Everything's been a little bit I want to know a bit more about how I want to present myself and not just wear the only thing I have. Now, what advice do I have for future me? Let's see what I said last year. Don't get too caught up in documenting everything. Like, the aim is for everything to change a lot, but I want to be able to enjoy the moment without being super stressed about, I need to film this, I need to make sure I have a picture of this, I need to make sure all of this is recorded, you know? It's okay to miss key moments and just tell you about it later. I don't have to show you everything at the cost of enjoying the moment. I think that's also advice I've internalized. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't end up being able to document this year, and I'm okay with that. I've made peace with it. As much as I wish I had like clips of certain things, I don't get upset about it, and I do sometimes just enjoy the moment. Like, I don't think I filmed many big moments this year. Like, I did, of course, for my birthday, but advice for myself a year from now would be, you should really prioritize balancing the duality that is your life. I'm aiming to be, you know, functional traditional 24-year-old that has a normal life and normal friends, but also still being a student. And don't fall into the trap of just being a student like you're still in second year and kind of falling out of sync with your peers as a result of that. But also don't get too focused on being a functioning adult and neglecting studies. So I think prioritize balancing those two appropriately. I'm supposed to be finding myself in this time of life, not losing myself. So what advice do I have for past me? Last year my advice was that a year is a lot shorter than you think it is, and I was absolutely correct. A year sounds like a lifetime, but it's not. You're not suddenly going to build an empire in 1 year. Don't get hard on yourself because you didn't do everything in 1 year, and that's very much true. And I'm okay with the pace of life and just going with it and figuring things out as they are to be figured out. But my advice for myself a year ago would be have conversations sooner, do things earlier. You don't need an excuse to bring something up. Just address problems when they are problems, otherwise it becomes a bigger deal later. You're not dramatic for thinking something is a problem. It doesn't matter if it seems like you have it good or not, you can still bring up issues. I think a lot of people need to hear that. I have a relatively good life. I like to think I have a relatively good life. And it feels like I don't get to complain because someone always has it worse. And it's not that cliche comparing thing. It's more of a, does it really get better? Like, yeah, this small apartment sucks, but all small apartments suck. So why am I complaining about this one if it's comparatively a pretty good small apartment? But good apartments exist out there, and you're allowed to point out the issues and try and find something better. What do I think I'd be worried about this time next year? What did I think I'd be worried about this time this year? It's not a very cool thing to say on the internet, but honestly, finances, but I'm really hoping that at that point I have like a regular source of income, and the worry is more about budgeting it than the worry is about where it's gonna come from. I am less worried about finances this year than I was last year, even though I am still worried about finances. I feel like that's just a life thing that's gonna happen for the rest of my life, that you're gonna be thinking about money, or at least until you get the hang of it, which is okay. I don't let it get to my head too much. But a year from now, what would I be worried about? I feel like there's the potential to be worried about my family. Like, there were a few health scares this year, and I don't know exactly what everyone's plan is for the next year, so where's everyone gonna be? So I can see myself being worried about this or that. But other than trying to figure out statistical analysis for my research, hopefully there's nothing too major. Hopefully I'm not worried about much. What is one thing I want to do in the coming year? Like I said, I want to learn how to sew. I also want to get like myself moving a bit. I don't want to become like a gym rat, and I don't want to like specifically get fit. I just want to move a bit. Like, my whole life this year has just been like on my computer, intense, or in the lab. I want to move because it's fun. I want to find an activity I enjoy. I want to feel like I have a full range of motion. What is a positive thing in the news right now? Honestly, the petrol prices are coming down. That is positive, because petrol has been difficult this year, especially with how much we've been driving around. Fuel got very expensive with everything that happened with COVID, and then the war in Ukraine, and then all the load shedding that's been happening. All the load shedding has been bad. And that also pushes up fuel prices, so that's been really, really bad. But there finally is the news that the fuel prices will be coming down, and I think that'll just overall be good, because then food prices will come back down a bit. Who is my best friend? Definitely still Christina. She is my best friend. We talk regularly. She's loads of fun. She's unfortunately down in the Cape now, so there's no chance of us seeing each other anytime soon, and that really sucks, man. It was so nice getting to hang out with her, but I'll see her again sometime in life somewhere. Do I have a boyfriend? I don't know. Yeah, I can't with full confidence say that we're dating right now. I don't know. I know what's going on. It's not that I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we're not 100% dating right now. He's still around. Obviously, we live together at least until the end of this year. So Aiden is in the house right now, and we spend Christmas together and all that. And you know, I told some of my friends that we're not like dating anymore, and then they saw me post pictures of us and they were like, what is going on? But yeah, I'm going to make a video explaining it, because I've been very public about my relationship, and I do want to explain the whole situation in a video that I'm not really looking forward to filming. But yeah. I remember last year I said in my video that I will have an announcement this year one way or the other, and I was thinking to myself, I'm either going to announce that I'm engaged or that we broke up. And yeah, I guess I wasn't wrong. I guess I knew back then that things weren't perfect, and I knew that things had to change one way or another, and they did. So moving swiftly along, what was the best movie I watched in the last year? I feel like I actually watched so many good movies that nothing spectacular is standing out. I think it has to be Last Night in Soho. It was a lot of fun, and it was very cinematic, and of course we had the Doctor as main character, so that's always fun. It's not like the best movie to ever exist, but it was very good, and it was the first time in a very long time that I just watched a movie. Like, usually I'm always doing something on the side. I'm either working in my bullet journal, or I'm kind of editing while we're watching or doing something else. And this was the first time that I just watched the movie. Like, it had my full attention. And that was a fun experience, so I'd have to say that. My friend suggested to me that I watched it a year ago, and I only watched it now. Once again, a year's not as long as you think it is. What meme did I reference most this year? There's one that's like on the tip of my tongue that's not coming to me, but another one that I do a lot is in this microbial climate, in this economy, stuff like that, just as a joke, in response to something ridiculous. So like, oh, why don't we go swimming today? And I'm like, in this microbial environment, which is just an extension of the in this economy type of joke. I think it's funny. And another one is, I've been saying Merry Chrysler a lot this holiday season. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Merry Chrysler. Share something embarrassing that happened the last year. Honestly, I can't think of anything. Thank heavens, nothing too embarrassing happened this year. Now for random predictions coming this next year. Whew, last year my predictions came true, let me tell you. I predicted we're gonna have orange tap water again. Guess who had orange tap water this year? Oh my gosh. Twice. First time at my dad's house because they were doing construction in the area and some of the water got into the pipes and the pipes came out orange because there's a lot of red water, and I was like, that's what I said. And then at my mom's house, she had to replace her geyser because it rusted, so all the water coming out the geyser was orange. And I was just like, damn, look at me calling things. I was very proud of myself. I predict that like thigh-high socks are gonna be super cool again and everyone's gonna be wearing them at some point this year. I was a little wrong about the thigh-high socks. They didn't quite come back. More like stockings did. I don't know why I guessed that actually. And you know how I said that some creator was gonna come back? And some creator's gonna come back. I wasn't quite right, but Jenna Marbles got married and that was all over the internet and everyone's talking about her again. So I'm gonna half call that one, but now I need to come up with like 3 good ones for this coming year. And I want them to be random, but I still kind of want to be right. So like, we're going to see our first family channel kid who's now an adult make an expose about how they grew up. I think that's coming in this coming year. I think there's going to be a really big space-related discovery and everyone's gonna freak out about it because there's a fancy new telescope up there that's gonna figure out a lot of new things, and the people who are not scientists are going to be like, does this mean this is the end of the world or something like that? I think we're gonna have a space panic. And then I think we're going to see the launch of a meat alternative or a meat compromise, and people are gonna freak out about it. And that's like a bit insider's information, but I think one of those are actually gonna hit mainstream media and people are gonna talk about it. Anyways, that is it for this video. We made it through all of our questions. Feel free to drop your answer to the questions and your opinions down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you think about the difference between last year and this year. But then I appreciate that you spent this time with me and that we had such a wonderful year together this year. And I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. I have been waiting for this question. Something I have now that I didn't have a year ago is this little thing. Hi!